Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of BreathTalks. And today I'm being joined again by Brian Snyder, who runs the Your Body Never Lies College, which, well, I'm actually going to hand it all over to Brian because it was, and I really love the Babaji stories of people being introduced to rebirthing, you know, back in the day. I mean, it's how I got into rebirthing, you know, was through talking to my guides. But Brian, tell us about it. What happened? How did you discover this?
I was meditating at home and one afternoon. This is in Philadelphia. And I was meditating and I just suddenly had this inspiration that I had to get to this bookstore. There was a book for me. You know, it was like this really imperative. And so, okay. I just sort of felt like I should listen. And so I go to the bookstore and I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm just walking in the aisles. And for my friends in Philadelphia, this was at Garland of Letters, which is a really mystical, magical bookstore where many amazing things happen. I'm walking down the aisle and I'm asking myself, okay, what's the book? What's the book? And then boom, about 4 feet in front of me, book fell off the shelf. I mean, literally just popped. And I like looked to see if somebody was pushing it, you know. And I pick up the book, and it's nothing in this book is true, but it's exactly the way things are. That's the funny name of a book. Okay, Bob Frizzell, whatever. It's, you know, I buy it, take it home. I think I read it in just a few hours. But I got to one of the chapter about Babaji, you know, and I open up the thing. I see his picture there standing on the rock in his robe, you know, looking. And it's the old black and white picture that's kind of hazy.
The Immortal Babaji.
The Immortal Babaji, exactly. And I read this and it says that he's immortal and that he shows up for people and that he's going to be around until the end of the Kali Yuga. And like, there's all this information. And of course, my heart opens. I'm like, really, I really hope this is true. Is this true, Babaji? Is this true? And I look at the picture, and when I did, he blinked. You know, he gave me one of these, and I just melted. I was like, ah. So that was it. Like, I was hooked. I'm like, okay, he's my teacher. Hold on tight. And that was in, I think, 1996. So that book was written by a rebirther. And he talks about rebirthing in the book, and that's how I ended up at the Rebirthing Center, was basically through that book.
In Philadelphia, yeah.
In Philadelphia, yeah. So then I'm at the Rebirthing Center, I move in, and the next book I read about Babaji is Autobiography of a Yogi. In that book, Yogananda talks about when he met Babaji that he didn't know who he was. He said there was like this mask. It just, you don't know who he is when you're talking to him. It doesn't get revealed until he leaves. I'm like, Babaji, that's really weird. How does that happen? How do you mask somebody's awareness when you're talking to them? And when he did that, a dog started barking outside my window.
Yeah.
Not unusual. And then another dog. Pretty soon there's 15 dogs around my bedroom, which had windows on 3 sides. And in my mind, I'm counting the dogs and I can see them and I can see the breeds and I can hear their yapping. And then all of a sudden I realize there's no dogs in my neighborhood. Not only that, but I don't know anything about dogs. I've like basically never owned a dog, you know?
Yeah.
And right when I realized that, all the barking stops, everything gets super calm outside. And I suddenly realize, oh, that was Babaji showing up, showing me what it's like to have my awareness masked. So then I was really locked in. I'm like, wow, if he could just tune in like that, I'm all about this. Then the next book I read was Radha Shyam's book, I Am Harmony, which is my favorite one of all the Babaji books. And in there, I find out that Babaji's basically only complaint was that nobody ever asked him for the real thing. It took me less than a second. I'm like, I want the real thing. Like, just put it out there. Like, I want the real thing. I'll give it all up. I don't care. And so, you know, for the next 20 years, I basically followed him around. And I don't mean he held my hand, took me places. I mean, I would get impressions of teachers to go meet. And so I would go there and meet them, and they would be open to talking to me, and I would get what I needed. And, you know, that would be time to leave and go somewhere else. He took me through a lot. He appeared for me a couple times.
Now, when you say appeared to you, he materialized.
Yes. That's only happened a couple of times. It happened when I was really, really needy. I thought everything was crashing down and nothing was working, and I really needed his help. Showed up. He materialized at my place, and I was gonna probably cry about it, maybe, but the heat was so strong, but it didn't feel like hot, like there was gonna be a fire. It was almost like a magnetic heat. I don't know how to describe it, but it was just, it was chi. It was just this life energy. The chi was just so hot and burning that I couldn't look up. I couldn't raise up. My body was in a full pranam, or full extension on the floor, like bowing down to him. And I couldn't like lift my head to look. But I knew he was there. I could feel it. I could feel the heat. I could, everything. That was for me the time when I finally got that it wasn't just my imagination playing with me or my ego messing with me, that I actually like had a connection here.
Yeah.
And that was in 2001.
Yeah.
And so it's been 20 years since then. But he really put me through the ringer. I mean, I really had to give up everything for the real thing. I had to give up chasing girls, chasing career, chasing money, and put everything into teachers, everything into chasing teachers. And because of that, I think it's because I was willing to always spend my last $10, for the train ticket to go 100 miles to see that teacher. It's because I was willing to do that everything lined up on the other end to get me home safe, when I was done.
And one of those most prolific teachers was Patrick, wasn't it?
Yeah, Patrick Collard. Yeah. I mean, he was also a student of Babaji's.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
he was, my primary teacher. I consider Patrick my first teacher for sure. Patrick was born left brain dead, and Babaji appeared to him in his dreams when he was a child to explain to him how to heal other people and also how to heal himself. By the time Patrick was 9, he figured out how to heal his own brain so that he could talk. Until the age of 9, he couldn't speak. Wow. But he was healing people.
Yeah.
And he explained to me that he was healing people by the techniques that Babaji taught him. And there's body language adjustment techniques. So, when we get upset, our shoulders get tight. And there's a way to understand what the actual message is that gets the shoulder up. So Patrick, he could look at your shoulder and go, "Oh, you're still mad at your mom," or "You just got fired last week and now you're looking for a job in a different industry and it's driving you crazy. It's making your shoulder tight." He could be very specific. And I did his apprenticeship and I followed him around and I went to his house for 10 days and, I did everything I could to figure out what it was he was able to do. What Patrick told me is that he was not trying to make more Patricks. He's like, "No one can do what I do because I was born brain dead." It's like, if you're not brain dead, you can't do what I do. Literally, the part of our mind that measures and compares has to get out of the way to see the way that he sees. And we all have an intellect. It's tough to set that aside. What I did over 20 years was unpack what Patrick was doing so that I could teach it in my own way.
Yeah.
And so I like it, most people 20, 30 years ago who took a workshop or had a session with Patrick would say he was magic. It was all smoke and mirrors. He's doing magic and then giving you some lame excuse for what it was, but that's not true. It's just magic. But that was wrong. What Patrick did was mathematical. Like there's actually a process to it. It actually makes sense. There's a system. And once I unraveled how he got his body language adjustments to work, then I understood how we can do it for ourselves.
Yeah.
You don't need Patrick. You don't need me. You don't need someone else pointing at your body, telling you what to let go of or what to do. When you come to the YBNL college, I explain to you how to listen to yourself so that you can find those messages and let them go. And this training, it's an opening. It's an opening. It's a huge opening because what we unravel are all the things that hold us down, all the thoughts and doubts and criticisms, the self-criticisms that prevent us from really expressing ourselves or from enjoying our real abilities. In YBNL, we look to get rid of that so that we can really just be ourselves and show the world what we can do. For some of us, it's painting. For some of us, it's being a really good barista at the coffee shop. And for others, it's being a healer, being a breath worker. For some of us, it's being a politician or a poet. Well, we've all got doubts. Those doubts hold us back, those little self-criticisms and all that nonsense. When we unravel that for ourselves and step into our personal power, the real expression of who we are becomes very easy. And not only that, but you find out that people actually wanted to hear it the whole time. I grew up feeling like nobody wanted to hear what I had to say. Now that I say what I like to say, I find out, oh, people actually do want to hear it. So it's this Patrick Babaji training I did that I've created or turned into the YBNL college. It's really about freedom.
Yeah.
It's about freedom to be ourselves, but it's also freedom from the pain of all those things we don't like about ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that you keep honing back into is the crux of everything, our birth script of not enough.
Absolutely. And there's been a lot of teachings, and I can say, when I first met Babaji and was reading his teachings, he'd say that, I can't speak for Babaji, but one of the things he's pretty clear about is like Om Namah Shivaya. The mantra can fix anything. It can even stop nuclear bombs. And I was thinking, oh, that's dumb. And then, the basic teaching of the Dharma of truth, simplicity, and love. When I first heard that, I was like, okay, truth, simplicity, and love is nice, but I want to be psychic. But I want to heal myself. I want to be done with all this crap I don't like. Like simplicity, that's fine, but I want to heal myself. I don't care about that. And now that I've done all that work and let go of all that crap and just enjoy being me, now I recognize, oh my gosh, the truth, simplicity, and love is all that really matters. Like, it's absolutely correct. And Om Namah Shivaya, there's details to it, but it really can negate the effects of atom bombs. But does that really matter to the person who just doesn't enjoy being alive because they don't like the relationship they have, or they don't like their job, or like they just can't figure out how to get better, or how to let something go? And that's what the college is about. The college is about taking care of all those things we got to take care of so that we can open up and really enjoy the magic of life.
Yes.
Exactly. And I like to teach magic too.
Yes. That's what we want. Is in one of my other trainings, Alchemical hypnotherapy, it's like going from being the wounded child to the magical child. Well,
and that's exactly how I feel today. I'm 55. When I was, I didn't follow this path for no reason. When I was 15, a cardiologist told me I had 10 years left to live. So what do you do at 15 when you're told you got 10 years left to live? Well, you start thinking about spiritual stuff. I started reading about witchcraft. And I started reading about energy, and started reading about, how to psychic projection and all this stuff. Those things, they're fun. They're really fun. But when we go to become psychic, or when we go to learn some new skill, inevitably what happens is we feel like we're not doing it well enough. And even if it's a brand new job or a brand new relationship or something new, there's this feeling of like, oh, I'm not doing it enough. In America, and maybe it's around the world, but in America, there's this phrase, just fake it till you make it. It's like the great coping mechanism for feeling like we're not enough. It's just keep going, just keep repeating it enough times until you feel like you got it. But that doesn't really work. This new way, this system of being that the college teaches us allows us to enjoy new things without having those doubts and criticisms. My experience of connection to Babaji isn't that he just materializes and I see his body, randomly when I need to. It's more that he'll provide me with experiences to teach me the lesson that I need to learn. And a couple of years ago, this is a great example of just what happened. This happens weekly probably for me, but this is a really good one a couple of years ago. Driving into town from Kenwood into Santa Rosa in Sonoma County. And I'm driving into town and I have this feeling like I'm not being protected. I just have this feeling like my connection is a little nebulous. You know, I'm like, had a really strong connection earlier and now I'm feeling like a little disconnected. And so I'm just asking Babaji, I'm like, aren't you here? Do I have to be in India to like really feel the protection and feel like connected and everything? And I don't get a response. So I'm like, of course, that just makes me feel more disconnected, you know, because I'm used to having like a sort of an internal back and forth, and it wasn't anything. So I'm driving, and then I see the tree. So Santa Rosa has this really big tree. It's like the tree of Santa Rosa. It's really big. It covers half the town. It's huge. And I'm driving. I'm like, well, we don't have Babaji here, but at least we have the tree.
Yeah.
So I'm driving, I'm so glad. And I just started feeling like, wow, I'm really glad I live in a place that has this big tree. And, you know, this tree that I'm telling myself that Santa Rosa has is like 2 miles across and like 10 miles tall and covers, you know, half the town. Like it's impossible. It doesn't occur to me. To me, I'm just driving toward the tree and I drive and the whole time, I mean, it's like a 15-minute drive into town. And the whole time there's the tree and I'm getting closer and closer to it, you know. And then I get to my destination and I park my car and I go do my stuff and I go do my errands and I come out of the store and I'm like, at least I got the tree here. And I look up and it's not there. And that's when I realized that Babaji had given me this vision of a tree.
Wow.
To create the feeling of being protected and having a connection and everything.
Wow.
And it was also another example of him masking my awareness. So here's this incredible magical experience of like being under this tree. Oh wow, I mean, this is great. I feel all loved and connected again. But it wasn't there. It was just totally created out of thin air. It was amazing. But it's those little synchronicities and little meditations and little connections and leelas that really make life fantastic. And you know, when it came time to unraveling the information in the college, it's really about getting rid of all of those blocks that we have to experiencing the magic of life.
Yeah.
It's this feeling that, you know, we're not enough to be connected to creator, or we're not enough to have unconditional love or to feel unconditional love, or we're not enough to go meet that pretty girl over there, or whatever our thing is. All of that does more than prevent us from enjoying life. It prevents us from experiencing the magic.
Yeah.
Because there really is magic here. And that's the joy of the college, is when we let go of these rocks and the heaviness that keeps us from enjoying life, all of a sudden life is lighter and more fun and the magic starts happening. So you think of something, oh, I'd love to go to a party tonight. Boom, the phone rings and it's some friend you haven't talked to in months saying, hey, you want to come to a party tonight? You know, the synchronicities of life are the joy of the trip.
Okay, so if anybody wants to join the college, go to the YBNLcollege.com.
Yes, it's right there on my
and
point here. There.